everybody else will be joining us for this epic rendition of Carole King's the song has just slipped my mind. Where You Lead.
Let's hope we don't get
you.
a copyright strike.
Right.
No.
Uh-oh.
I don't think we will, because
I
it'll
don't
be
think
our
live
voice.
performances have that problem. I think it's if we were to say play the recording of the theme.
Yeah,
song.
it would-
because even
Here's what
YouTube
I'm guessing.
cover.
Here's what I'm guessing.
It'll be
What
so
will
off.
happen tonight will be so unrecognizable
That will
that
be
we will have
Yeah,
no
you're
problem
absolutely right.
whatsoever from a copyright
And
perspective.
if
True.
nothing else, we could always cut it out of it.
Yeah, but
All right.
here's the thing with YouTube is that you can't even sing songs.
I promise you, YouTube's algorithm will never be able to detect that we are singing this
Thing
Well,
song.
you're
It's
singing,
true.
period.
All right, everybody, let's do this. So if you've been here before, you know what we're doing next. If you are new, please grab your remote, have your thumb on that play button, but do not press it. Do not press it, because we're going to be doing that at the same time on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
This is one of my favorite Lorelei tops. I love, love, love it.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it's
same.
They're both wearing purple. Just saying.
I love it, though. It looks.
Oh yeah, it does.
I have a theory. It's not about wearing the same color, but maybe not the same print or solid.
Yeah, that's.
This way they complement each other.
I never noticed that prom ticket sign in the back.
Is that just like a little detail, or is that part of the show?
I think
No
it's just a
spoilers.
detail, but I've just never noticed it before.
Wait, what are you talking?
There's like a little sign that says that prom is happening at the school,
For
which is just a
sure.
great little detail if it has nothing to do with the episode.
I'm pretty sure it's just a detail, but I was like, dang.
It could be just a detail. I mean, it is like April, May. So
I love this whole thing Suki comes up with for this.
Hey, John, I got a really quick question. Did you start the Remarcus timer?
uh-oh.
I did.
Oh, okay.
Is it not work? Did you click on it? It's not working.
Probably just reminding you.
I'm gonna just double check that I went through. There's been some connectivity issues
made
lately
John
with the
doubt
app.
Yeah,
himself.
I was gonna say like Chris just the unmute.
I don't see the timer working.
On to
Oh
see
yeah,
who
it's
started the
it's
timer
not actually going.
because
Great.
it's not going. Yeah.
That's fine. I got it.
Thank you.
What did she say about serenades?
In the future, don't serenade your ex in front of the whole town, because Suki was saying if you want people not to, talk about it, don't, and then Lorelai cuts her off with, don't serenade your ex in front of the whole town. And Suki's like, so it was a serenade.
So if someone leads a serenade, though, will others follow?
Good one.
Suki's
Suki's still wearing her Crocs.
Suki was ahead of her time with the Crocs game. There's been a huge resurgence in the popularity of Crocs.
I have been wearing nothing but Crocs for like 18 months. And sometimes I feel ashamed, but sometimes not.
Oh, no. Shame. I have like 3 pairs.
That was fabulous.
Babsy just filmed that whole thing.
I think it was the
I
best
found
one
my
I've
voice.
done.
I think it's kind of funny that Charlie's photo looks like she's covering her ears, though.
She said, "I can't."
So, John, do you think that's Lorelai's garage?
No, that's not Lorelai's garage.
Well, I know it's not,
The same set,
but
kind of
is it the
made
same
over.
set? I mean, sorry, I
don't
wasn't.
think-
I
I
didn't
don't think
realize
so
that.
because I don't think it is because there's a door there on the side which wouldn't have been there.
No, that's very true. Plus, there isn't remember the stenciling?
And the
It's
pink
more.
wall.
It's just more the fact that like it would be hard to. The way that her garage is laid out, it actually both walls, the wall that we usually see open and everybody playing in, that opens up, but so does the back wall that you never really see
And
open.
here's Luke saying it wasn't Serenade.
I think it's the same. I think it's the garage next to y'all's apartment, probably based off of the last episode they were in. That same garage, like where
I
they
mean,
had the
he
boat.
does really have to respond to this. I mean, he really does. He's got to respond.
Well, technically, she was responding to him with the hat.
This is my favorite Liz scene.
Same.
Well, again,
Wait,
she's being
did
the
Laura
oracle.
produce this season? It just said produced by Laura and Miriam.
The one time Crazy Carrie is right.
Right?
Crazy Carrie.
And this is one of those times where you do trust Crazy Carrie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like the only time though.
Yeah, the only time, but still, it's a good. If she's gonna have one time in her life, this is the one.
Very, very,
Well,
very
you know,
true.
I mean, it's kind of like that scene in the Branford College dining hall when Rory and Paris are getting relationship advice from Janet, their friend. You know, again, that's the one time you trust them, right?
Yeah, that's true.
This makes me so sad.
Making that profit.
She's like a boa constrictor.
They're so cute.
Then she'll go after a top tier
Oh,
fellowship.
goodness gracious, you guys!
As
Get a
For
room.
Paris, it never ends.
as an Indian person, I have to say that I think Paris is correct. I think her aggressiveness will help her in particular in India as a tourist.
Oh my goodness! Is tomorrow the graduation, or is tomorrow's episode the graduation, or is tonight?
No, it's tonight.
Oh goodness!
No spoilers.
I don't know if we were allowed to say that.
Spoiler.
That's why I didn't mention it.
I don't think it's a spoiler.
Sure it is.
I had heard something about it, so I just wasn't sure if it was
if
tonight
you
or
pulled up the episode on Netflix, like the preview image was like Rory and a graduation.
that's yeah, you're right. It was.
And then also
So
if you check
not a
out
spoiler.
me and Lee's avatars.
Oh my goodness. There it is.
And
So
come on,
nice,
people
Tasha.
have spoiled a lot more.
Oh, no, true.
The annoyed face. Her face looks so annoyed. She does that so well.
I feel like that's like true Paris form though.
This is so fun. Gosh, I'm feeling way more confident that I'm going to win this bet.
But then again,
I mean, if they leave this series without fulfilling this that's happening right now, I think the fans would be really up.
I don't know, that felt like a really icy shoulder to me.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
we still have an
Yeah,
episode
she,
and a half to go, or an episode and 3/4.
She has to chase him too much for my taste.
Too much what?
He has to chase him too much. Like he's over here having like a little pout session because he overheard her saying that it didn't mean anything.
She forgot her coffee and donut.
He's playing hard to get.
No, I think his feelings are hurt, so he's acting out and he's trying to hurt her back.
I was kidding.
Oh, bad pun.
I just realized who Babette and
That tree, look at that tree. Did you see that tree in the background? Like tropical looking tree.
Oh, there are none of
That's
those
so
in
quintessential
No.
Connecticut.
I mean, there was a tree back there, one of those like really like kind of almost like swamp looking trees.
I love Lorelai's shirt.
Mary says you're dreaming, John. It's not.
Oh, I'm convinced it's happening.
You know what she was expecting, right?
That
Yeah.
spackling was not a particularly good spackling job.
It still needed
Spackling is
sanding.
not
It
fun,
wasn't
let
done
me tell you.
yet.
Just too lumpy.
That's where sanding comes into.
Shouldn't sand it though. That's not good.
Yeah, please, no sand.
Poor Taylor.
Lorelai's hair is much shinier and tame in this scene than the last.
This is the second time Taylor's been in a wheelchair, and it's just as funny as the first time.
Oh my god, I forgot about this.
Yeah, this would have been a good episode.
Yeah, I
because,
wish he was
John
It
here
would've
to
been a
answer
great
questions
one.
about that.
To see if I can.
Love
That's a very valid reason.
Very Kirk. I love it.
It's a tourist attraction.
Babette. Let's vote.
All of a sudden, Babette is running the meeting.
Mutiny.
I'm so glad we got a town hall meeting since it's almost the end.
Will they expect to go to everybody else's kids' graduations too?
I guess everybody else's kid would be graduating. Well, no, not from college. No.
I got 6 tickets for my graduation. High
Honestly,
school graduation.
My kids only get 2.
2. Yikes.
For high school or college?
High school.
Dang.
Yeah, I think I only got 2 for high school, 4 for college, but 4 extra in a lottery, which is good because I have 3 brothers. So
I got
Don't
4
work
for
out.
high school. Thank God.
That was not a thing at my high school.
My town high school didn't have any tickets, but I went to a vocational school and went for cosmetology. So
Oh,
My high school graduation booked at a college close by that all the other high schools booked their graduations at. And they booked them so back to back that we ran over time, and they shut off the power to kick us out as they were calling people's names. And the principal continued to call people's names on a megaphone as we were escorted out of the building. I cannot make this up.
oh my God.
Oh my
God.
gosh.
So this is a big band up. Sorry, a big town episode.
Yes.
Let's see.
she's like, please let me leave.
I love the slogan.
does anyone else remember that party of Emily and Richard's where they invited all their friends who had sons who were Rory's age, and Logan had to steal her away from all these people trying to meet up with her?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my favorite outfit on Rory. I'm sorry.
No, agreed.
Gold is not
No.
her color.
Yeah, the color is weird.
Now, if it was bronze, maybe.
Yeah, it's just kind of light, washes her out.
It's very DAR Rory.
Well, yeah.
Oh, she's excited.
I like that point that you made though, Julie, about it being like, his whisking her away and keeping her safe.
Yep. Yeah, and that first one was obviously even before they were dating.
He thinks I should have been asked first.
Yeah.
Figure out whose fault is that?
I like that they fall back into a friendship though.
I think they'll always have that, regardless of what's going on in their life.
He called him sir. Good to see you too, sir.
Love this scene.
Does he call Richard sir or no? I can't remember.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
remember, but he called Christopher sir just there. which was
either
nice.
Sir or Mr. Gilmore, one of them.
No, he calls him Richard.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's always a first name basis with Richard.
Oh yeah, true.
Oh, that's
The Glee
guy from Glee.
piano player.
yeah. Well, I forgot. But he
I'm sorry, you might need tissues.
From Glee.
Love.
I love that little like shrug that he did. Like, maybe that wasn't that great.
The piano player's name is Brad Ellis.
Yeah, Brad. That's what I remember. He's also, I believe, didn't they use him in the revival or something? Because he's been at FanFest.
He's been in more than
I
this
saw
episode. He's been in a few.
that was
He did virtual fan fest, I
especially-
think.
I have to say, I also thought it was a perfect song parody because Cole Porter went to Yale.
Oh, cool.
And he was like class of 19, I think, or something like that.
Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh.
I love Chris's. Not he. Uh-oh.
Oh, geez. Oh,
Double
no.
headphones, John.
Oh, my God.
There's one thing about this scene that bugs me a ton. Doesn't freaking get down on a knee.
Get
Like,
down
come
on
on.
one knee.
You're not always supposed to, guys.
Okay.
Excuse me?
What?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Is Tasha defending
Saw this
Logan?
coming. Saw this coming. Oh, no.
No, I'm not defending Logan. I'm defending keeping tradition.
I just never thought I'd
Oh,
see
my
it.
goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Breathe, John.
I know.
Oh, my gosh. That was awesome.
The look on Richard's face. Everybody
Oh,
catch
my
that?
goodness. That was incredible.
Chris is
I
like,
love that Emily is like all into keeping up appearances.
I had such secondhand embarrassment for him.
Also, wedding proposal? It's not a wedding proposal. It's a marriage proposal.
Oh,
Me
my goodness.
too.
This is painful. This is painful. You do not like negotiate a proposal.
No, 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 no.
Someone once told me if you don't say yes right away, your answer is no, even if you don't know it yet.
She's gonna jump, just not in that direction.
So
He definitely knows that, at least understands that he's not the one to go out there.
yeah, I like this little comic relief, you know, them riding in the horse-drawn carriage.
I would love an avocado tree.
Oh, sweet.
Well, in a way, this shows sort of how Rory has matured. I mean, remember when Dean told her he loved her and she just freaked out? I mean, I will give Rory credit for not freaking out. She's just like, I'm surprised. I've got to think about this, right?
I have some thoughts about this too for the Pope.
Okay, cool.
I really like this episode.
Yep. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, but you would agree, not a tearjerker so far.
No, but it's definitely like a oh.
And there are definitely some very this is your life aspects to it. The DAR, the town meeting, Weston's, etc.
I honestly think the way Rory handled it was very realistic.
This is amazing.
Kirk in a box.
I am
I
terrified.
wonder
of
how
it.
hot it was in there.
At least Kirk's not naked.
Yet.
I like the sweet lalas he got for being in the box.
That would
Were they
terrify
for
me.
him or were they for Lorelai and Luke?
I think Kirk.
I can get on board with that.
Oh, Luke.
Whoa.
Awesome.
The kitty did not approve.
This is so good.
My cat's definitely does not approve. But it is awesome, I agree.
I honestly don't think this is awkward necessarily. I think a lot of tension is building.
Looked at
Yeah.
it like, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah. Like another little box. What? Now? No.
What did I miss that? What was that other thing in there?
There's the long
necklace.
box.
Remember when he
Yeah.
was talking to Liz?
The necklace he bought as a just in case for Rory.
Oh,
Kirk.
Which
Oh my God.
Liz made
Just lays down.
with
Yeah.
Lorelai and
Now, one thing I noticed about season 7 is, we still have the la la laws, and I agree it was great to have those for Kirk in a box. One thing that's been totally missing, unless somebody else can think of a place where it was, is those that little drummel thing when something ominous was going to happen. Haven't heard that all season.
Oh yeah, you're right. I haven't
I don't-
heard that.
Think I know what you're referring.
And I think we've only had one scene with Grant.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of the troubadour. This
No, not a lot of troubadour.
Yeah, just
no
walking
the
ominous
around
later
the
seasons
head.
in general.
And sometimes the Amish drummels were for funny things, but they were kind of, mysterious. We just haven't had that.
Big Rock.
Yeah, he was in the show with Trick.
Shivitzing.
Shivitzing.
Now, the way that Olivia has her cap is so realistic on how all art students graduate. When my sister graduated from Misty, she cut her gown to knee length and made it like a high-low gown, and she decorated the top of her cap with like all this artistic stuff.
The people that I graduated with, we all had like a little cap decorating party too. That was fun. Do they still do that?
It depends on the high school. My high school didn't allow for, when I graduated, they didn't allow for our caps to be decorated, but I knew a girl who was like 2 years younger than me who graduated this past year, and they were allowed to graduate their cap, or not graduate. They were allowed to graduate, but they were allowed to decorate their caps, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't know what's going on anymore.
They do it here.
Yeah, I suppose it just depends on the high school. Mine didn't for a time, but apparently now they are. So it depends on the school.
It's a
I
big
love
thing.
that
Did
walkway.
anyone
It's
notice? Did anyone notice that when Rory was describing her grandparents' party, she did not mention Logan proposing?
Yes.
Yeah. Good one.
I think that was very intentional.
I'm making a mental note to go back and listen to all of the Kristen Ritter episodes that I missed because I need John's opinion of the Marty Kristen Ritter situation.
Oh boy.
I actually, I have to be honest, there was a section of that I was talking through and I didn't realize it. I didn't get one very important piece of information that I learned on Discord that I kind of need to watch again in order to really get an honest sense for how I feel about it. But
Fair enough.
it was weird. I mean, I'll say that. I mean, Marty in season 7 was, an odd bird. Definitely not the sunglass wearing dude that gets out of a helicopter in the revival that I had imagined.
I was gonna say not the Marty reunion you had been wishing for.
So, John, do you think he's going to be in the revival?
No. I do not think he will. I mean, he might, but
Wait,
I don't think
who do you not think?
Marty.
Marty.
Oh, I love their relationship.
Yeah, and Paris always does those impulsive hugs. You never quite know when they're coming.
there's the episode title.
This is my favorite Richard, one of my favorite Richard scenes.
Oh,
Same.
Well,
I mean, you
then
gotta
don't leave.
admit, like, we're coming here to the end of the series, and if you really think back to the very beginning of Lorelai and Emily at the beginning of this series, there has been some evolution of their relationship,
Oh, definitely.
which I think is nice. I mean, I think it's been a nice evolution. You know, it's not perfect, but they've
And
grown both.
he's not trying to get away from her as quick as she used to.
Oh,
I love that.
yeah.
This makes me teary.
I'm not crying. You're
Oh
crying.
my gosh, that's like that's a way bigger tearjerker for me than the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There, she's blubbering.
Richard's smile. I love it.
Also, in this one, she doesn't do the little tongue flip thing that she did in the other one. In this one,
Yep.
there's just something so much
Mature.
more grounded in Rory than the last one. That's just like it's, I don't know, there's something really, really powerful about that.
That makes no sense.
It doesn't, because we would have heard about it.
He had a broken leg when he
Yeah,
graduated.
he
Saw
had
that
the
coming.
on.
Saw that coming.
Yep.
There it is. There it is. Oh my gosh.
Because love knows no distance. That's why.
Let not the
It's
marriage
not
of
easy
true
to
minds
have a
admit
long distance
impediments.
relationship.
Hey,
I think
I've been in
season
long distance
7
relationship. It is not. It's not easy, but it's.
Oh
doable.
my goodness. This was
I think season
intense.
7 is a perfect indicator from what we've seen, or no, season 6 and 7 rather, when they have that long distance relationship when he's in London, that it was rough for them.
I don't think it's about the distance as much as like you don't understand like how hard it is to go a step back, like he said. Like after someone has proposed and you've said, no, I can't do that, or not right now, or whatever your reason is, that's incredibly hard to continue a relationship after that.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Totally.
But I'm
That's
surprised.
totally
because
valid.
They could have at least said, you know, we can get engaged. We don't have to get married right away. It doesn't mean you have to get married immediately.
Did you guys catch the Melancholy Lalas? That it was kind of like a mixture of like hopefulness, but it was sad at the same time. Did you hear?
It was just very sad for me.
Yeah, although, you know, for me though, it wasn't just because of the way that Logan just kind of abruptly turned around and walked away. To me, it wasn't a tearjerker. It was just like, oh,
Co-host, I have a bone to pick with you.
I see.
He needed
You
it.
cried.
I agree. To me, it's tissue worthy.
Colonel,
I told
Okay.
you.
All right, I guess I just didn't like the way he walked away. I mean, it was sad, but to me, it wasn't a tearjerker. I don't know. I guess I just, you know, maybe
It actually
maybe
wasn't
I'm
that
maybe
scene.
I'm
That
not
that
Team
scene was
Logan. I
very
don't know.
sad and got me very, very sad. But I full on got misty eyed and choked up in the graduation, which is funny because it is kind of a redo of a graduation we've already seen, and I didn't really get all that emotional. I thought it was really nice the first time, but I didn't really get emotional for Chilton.
Yeah,
But you're
that
right.
one really gets me in the feel.
The Chilton was like,
Well, I had forgotten, I will admit, I had forgotten sort of how emotional, say, Richard gets and so forth. I mean, to me, that was part of it. He was trying to shush everybody so that he could,
Also,
you know,
just the
he could
look on
witness a granddaughter.
also the look on Rory's face when she like looks over in the crowd, you know, the Chilton, I remember her, she's like kind of playful and she flips it quickly and then does a little tongue flip, you know, and this time she almost herself looks like she's like holding back tears, and she moves the tassel just like, you know, deliberately, and it almost seems like she's looking out into a void that she's like really not sure what's even out there, you know, it felt like with Chilton she kind of knew what was next, but here it's like there's so much unknown, and you could just feel that in her, or at least that's how I felt, maybe, and I'm putting that on her, I don't know, but
No, I think
it
that,
was
yeah.
it was just massively emotional for me. Really,
I
really
agree.
emotional.
And I think she knew that she was going to have to tell Logan no. So I think
That was in there
that's
too.
part of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's get some other folks up here on this couch and we can chat about this very emotional episode, or at least it was for me.
Absolutely.
Come on up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, I don't have to count.
I was going to say, why are you counting?
John.
Why am I counting? All right. If any other folks, you see any other folks want to come
I
up,
will
Julie,
keep
you
an
can
eye
just
Yep.
bring them up. I think I'm Team Logan. I think I'm Team Logan.
oh,
Like-
thank you.
Yay!
Like, I mean, I get,
Believer.
but I mean, I get it. Like, I get the like Team Rory needs to be single, but like my heart is definitely, I'm not, I can't be dishonest here. I'm like really sad about this.
Yeah,
Oh, I
can
had
you
some
give us
bones to
a
pick with
legit
him.
reason why? Like,
Um,
considering that all of that you've seen from season 5 to this episode.
I can't really explain it. It's hard for me to explain. Sometimes it's just like, it's just a feeling. I just
Now, do you
feel
understand
like,
us Just fans over here then?
oh yeah. I've never not understood you.
Well, no, because like we can't really explain it just as like Logan fans can't really
Of course. Of course I know that.
It's just who you connect with and resonate with. And that's why it's different for everybody.
Sarah's wanted to speak.
Yeah, and I would say that I have, you know, I mentioned before that like it's hard for me to relate to a character that I can't really imagine relating to in real life. And as that character progressed, when I think back to like when I first met him, like kind of making fun of Marty, the master and commander moment, you know, his arc has just been so wide, and it's come so far, and you know, there's just so many things that he's really transformed in, and now I really do feel like I can relate to that guy.
I mean,
Sarah, did you
I
wanna?
Sarah, yeah.
thank you.
Sarah
I
and then
agree. I
Kathy.
think he's definitely had the most significant arc. He's also just been the boyfriend for the longest when you compare just like episodes and seasons wise. It's just been so much more significant information. But I think that my question for you is, okay, if you feel like, okay, I'm Team Logan, do you feel like the proposal, like, do you think she should have said yes, or do you feel like he shouldn't have proposed?
If you're talking, John, we can't hear you.
I'm like, is my internet broken?
I'm sorry. I've been muted the whole time. Sorry.
Oh,
Muted
boy.
and just talking to myself, clearly. So I started off by
Oh my
saying,
gosh, mine is totally glitching. It says that your mute thing is on, but your ring is still going on.
oh, can you hear me?
Yeah,
no,
we
I
can hear
can.
you
That's
now.
just
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
So that's a good question. I think that there was a version, like a what if, like the What If Marvel series, but what if Gilmore Girls? If he had waited, if he had just waited and not like asked her to marry him now, and allowed for them to like, him to go out there and sort of set up shop and her to sort of follow what she needs to follow. If you just let that happen, I agree with you, Sarah. Like, once you put it out there, you can't get it back. So it's like he did that, and that was probably the biggest mistake that he made. Because once he asked and she said no, it's like moving forward in a relationship like that is really hard. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't find each other again at some point in their life. I tend to feel like they work well together. I think she likes that world that he's from, and I think that he challenges her in a really interesting way. And I think that they could find each other again at some point in their life, maybe in the revival. And so I like them together. But once, once he asked her, it was just like, I think that was the end of it, because I don't think she's ready for that. Like, she just has some things that she has to do, and I'm supportive of that. I think that she's leaving school. She should not graduate from school and get married. She should leave school and start to begin her life and start to build a career and, do all the things that she really cares about. And he could have been along for the ride on that.
Yeah,
I often wonder too, though, had he not asked her in that setting, we know that she likes to take her time to think about things and process and do her pro-con list. And so one thing I always wonder is, had he not done it there and then and done it in private and given her time, could it have been a different answer? I don't know. It maybe wouldn't, but I often wonder that.
I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. I think that asking Rory Gilmore to marry you right after she graduates, or right before actually she's graduating from college, is just like a bad move. Kathy Ann.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, is somebody else talking?
No, Kathy Ann.
Okay. So first I want to answer Tasha's question. I am Team Logan because as much as we have seen him grow and change and adapt to be able to be in both worlds and soak in her world and knowing that she likes it, and she also fits in with his world, and then going into the proposal, I think if he would have asked her when they were spackling, then it might have been different, because she could have thought about it a bit on her own, not in front of a bunch of people, and maybe she would have held for a long engagement while she figured out where she wanted to go.
But do you really think do you think that that's good for Rory? Do you think that that's really something that Rory wants, is to be married right now?
No,
absolutely not.
But the engagement doesn't mean that you have to be married right now.
No,
because I believe her when she says that I love you. I think she loves him. There's no question about it. But that tells me speaks volumes that she can love him and still have to say no. And so because of that, that tells me that she would say no in pretty much any situation, even if she said yes in a situation because that moment kind of, swept her up, she would days later or a certain time later during her engagement be like, I can't, sorry. Like, it's just, I can't. I think that any situation in which he asks her to marry her, I think he's putting their chances of being together long term in jeopardy. And that, I think that is the tragedy of it.
There's also the fact, if he wouldn't have asked her in that public setting, not everybody would have known, and maybe that ultimatum wouldn't have came down. But everybody knew that he had asked her.
Because of the embarrassment fact.
Yeah, and if he would have asked her in private, I think that their relationship could have kept going.
Well, I think if they did get engaged, yes, they technically could have waited to actually start to plan something, but not saying that Emily would be a huge influence on it, but Emily would want to plan and ask her 5 million questions and, start getting everything rolling where she's trying to focus on herself and her job.
Yeah. Sarah, can I throw it back to you with some of this that we've gathered since you asked the question? Do you think that if he asks her to marry her outside of that that context, and she says, I don't want to get married right now, but I still want to be with you. Do you think that that's that's the same? You were just talking about a minute ago about how, once a person says, I don't want to marry you, that's like, it's very difficult for you to continue on with that relationship. And it seems like Kathy Ann is suggesting that like a big part of that is the fact that he did it in front of all these people and you can't walk back from that embarrassment. But does that also apply to if they are private, do you feel?
So, I mean, first of all, like Tasha, I see you. So I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I promise you, Tasha, you are next. You are next. Don't worry.
I mean, John knows this, like as somebody, me personally, who was proposed to in a very public situation, who said yes, because I was given an ultimatum and I didn't want to break up, but the real answer was I wasn't ready to get married. Eventually, the answer was still no. I think that in this situation, I don't think it would have worked either way, because I understand people are saying like, oh, you don't have to get married right away, but that's not really her concern or even his concern. The first thing he brings up is her moving to California to be with him, and I think that's the big thing for her. She doesn't know where she's going or what she wants to do or where she wants to work or what the next step is in her like career and her personal life, and she's putting her that future before saying, oh, I'm gonna move to be with you, regardless of how quickly or not they got married. I don't think he would have been okay with a long distance engagement. It seemed like very much his excitement was like, oh, you can come and be with me, and if I ask you to marry me, then you'll come to be with me here in California. That's how I personally take it, but that also could be me reading a lot into my personal experience with my ex-fiance about what happened in that situation. But anyway, I agree, Sarah. I totally agree.
Yeah, I would see. That's the thing. I mean, just an episode ago, they were saying, let's factor each other in. But factor each other in is different from Logan decides where they're going. And Rory, says, oh, okay.
Right. She was like, you've obviously done a lot of research. I haven't even thought about that to this extent. And I really do think she was taken off guard by realizing like, oh, he's trying to, dictate this whole this whole situation. But Tasha, what do you have to say?
Thank you. So, and this has nothing to do with the fact that I'm not Team Logan, so I know I'm biting my head off, okay? So for me, I think the way Rory handled it was, like I said in the episode, completely realistic, because you see in a lot of TV shows where regardless of how long the couple has been with each other, or regardless of like the highs and lows they went through, they get proposed to and they say yes because that's just TV land, and no one really thinks about like how realistic a proposal should be. Yeah, it's for ratings, but like I think with Rory, she took it like an actual 22-year-old person who is about to graduate college and doesn't know what they want to do for the rest of their life seriously. Like she, like someone said, like she makes pro con lists. As geeky and nerdy as that may be, it's how she's made her big life decisions. I mean, when she got into Harvard, Princeton, and Yale, she had 3 lists going. And she also made pro con lists about other things in her life. And so she probably wanted to make a pro con list. But at the same time, I feel like to say yes to someone that you're not really wanting to actually marry, I think it's a little bit, in my opinion, a bit selfish. And I think Rory would have known that and thought like, I'm only saying yes because there's a whole bunch of people here and I don't want to cause a scene or make it awkward. So I think she handled it perfectly. And I think also with Logan, ultimatums are annoying as hell because you're put in the situation where you don't really have a choice, and whatever choice that you pick, someone's going to be upset. And we've seen that throughout this entire series. And I think Logan putting her in that situation was just a little bit selfish to him because he's supposed to know her so well, and he didn't even take into consideration of like how she would want to be proposed to. Yeah, it's like his doing, but like you have to kind of take into consideration the person that you're proposing to.
I want to pose something to the room. How do you propose to Rory? Like how
Not in front of people.
Well, I mean, it's true. She is somebody who really has to think things through, and like a proposal by its very nature is a surprise.
With books and a letter.
See, I don't
Oh
think
my God, that would
I
have
don't
been
think
so
there
good.
is I don't
Yeah.
think there is a good proposal right now. I think there is no perfect proposal because I don't think there's any proposal that she would have said yes to. I think even though they're close
Very
in
true.
age, I think they've lived differently, and he has, we've seen him. He was the party guy, the bachelor, the Warren Beatty. He took a year off. He's gone to different countries, and all this life that we've seen, failed businesses and overseas, all this stuff. And she's really hasn't lived yet the way he's lived. So I can see why he's young and in love and ready to settle down with the tree, with the house, with the girl, with the wife and all that. But she hasn't. And for her right now, career is her focus. And so I just don't think that there would be any proposal because she still has so much to live before she can live her life with.
These
Can
been
I jump in
flashing.
really quick because I have to get off the couch in like 5 minutes, and I really just have something.
Yeah,
really
no
quick to
problem,
say.
Emma, and then we'll go to Lee. Lee, by the way, I just saw your avatar. That's the tongue flip that I was talking about.
I love that face.
Yeah, Emma.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, first to answer Tasha's question about why I'm Team Logan. I think for me, definitely it's because we see him grow the most out of all of the boyfriends because he was around the most, and ultimately, like, Logan and Rory changed for the better because of each other. And I just think it was amazing to watch because we really got to see Logan grow and change. And I love his character development throughout the entire series. I think it's just really cool to watch. And Rory came out of her shell because of him. And I just think it's really cool. But also, I have to agree with you, John and Hannah, about the proposal. When I was younger, because I was 12 when the show ended, so when I was younger, I was absolutely devastated that she said no. And I remember crying because I was so upset because I loved them so much. But now that I'm older, I totally understand why she said no, and I agree with her. I don't think she's ready at all to be married. Not that she doesn't love him and want to be married to him someday. She definitely does. She loves him so much and can't wait to be married to him. It's just that she has so much she wants to do with her life and her career, and she just isn't ready yet. And what Hannah said about about Emily, like wanting to plan and immediately like get into the whole wedding process. Like that's exactly what I see too. It's like even if they get engaged and they want to have a long engagement with Emily and Shira, that would never happen because they would immediately want to be like, oh my God, let's plan the wedding. Okay, let's do this thing. And they would get married and Rory would never be able to focus on her career really because she'd become like a housewife.
I think that she probably, that would, the Shira and Emily trying to plan Rory's wedding, it would almost definitely derail the wedding like that. If for whatever crazy reason Rory had said yes, that would have at least been the point at which she would have, in my opinion, she would have been like, no, we're not doing that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was
And they
only
would've
asking
pulled
the
out
Logan question
the
to John, but thank
opera
you for your
designer again, and it would have been a whole thing.
Yes. Hello. Okay. So I
Good
have
morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's the world didn't end at midnight, so you will see another day. You'll be all happy to hear. Woo, very exciting stuff.
I feel like we need to have a Gremlins watch after that. I don't know why. I just feel
because
like...
of my username on Discord.
Oh, is that your username on Discord?
Yeah, my
right.
username is Blue Haired Gremlin. Yeah. Is that I'm in your head, John?
Right. But it was just a like after midnight thing,
Oh, that was probably that makes a lot of sense too. I'm always around after midnight being a gremlin, so it makes sense. So I have some thoughts, kind of two-part, but I'll keep it as short as I can. The main thing that really this scene, this kind of concept of Logan proposing leaves a bad taste in my mouth, especially considering I think we've seen him grow a lot this season, and coming back from the not great thing he grew a lot. He did a lot of like repairs to his relationship, and then to end on this note leaves such a bad taste in my mouth because he proposes to her by saying, I want to be with you forever, I love you, but then kind of follows it up with, I've planned your life, and it revolves around the fact that I'm starting a new career and this is where my career is going to be, and I want you to come with me, and that's why I want you to be my wife. And it's it leaves such a bad taste in my mouth because as soon as she's like, well, I do love you and I do want to marry you, just not at 22 when I've just graduated, I want to do my own stuff, but yes, one day I do want to marry you because I love you just as much as you say you love me. And he goes, well, what's the point of that? It's not, to me, that's not love. Saying, okay, you're not giving me what I want right now in the form of marriage. And then he turns it back and says, oh, well then what's the point? The point is supposed to be that you love her and you want to be with her forever. And it doesn't have to be in that way right away. But you both love each other.
But I think that I'm with Sarah on this point. There's a lot, we've seen it in some ways with Christopher and Lorelai, like when certain things are said and you back out in certain, like you say no in certain ways. I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, we've got this whole Luke and Lorelai thing. Maybe that's a big part of it. Maybe that those two can never really get back together again because of that, because they already crossed that threshold. Like they already said no to it, and it'll never really completely be able to be repaired. But I have a question that is sort of, I guess
I had an answer to your earlier question about how do you propose to Rory.
Could I just very, very quickly, there's just one thing before, just that I wanted to tack on to the end of my thoughts, was I find it quite interesting that for how much Logan rebelled, he did kind of revert back to his expectations of his family. And I know it wasn't because of pressure of his family, but the idea of, oh, I'm going to be a career man and my wife is going to come with me. I did find that very interesting because it brings us back to when they first started their relationship and his run-in with the Huntsbergers, because that's what they wanted him to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's a mini Hunt. I think that I don't think he has the nastiness of Mitchum. He doesn't have the anger that Mitchum has, but well, I mean, he has some of it. We've seen some of that anger come out when he gets drunk, so that he's definitely got even some of Mitchum's anger in him. But I think that he's a little bit of a mini Mitchum,
He is definitely a product of his breeding.
He has the
certainly,
dedication
certainly
to work.
he's got the same drive. He's certainly got the same mind. You know, he's a younger version of it. But I think that I could imagine him. I'm curious to see what he's going to be like in the revival. Really curious.
You sure he's in it?
I feel pretty convinced that he's in it. Here's something though that's really interesting that I'll just throw really quickly. I know that you want to answer that question, Sarah, but I just wanted to like throw it out there, but then don't answer it. Then I want to go to Sarah. I want the room to think about it for a second. Of the three people, like the three boys that she was with during the series, like, would Jess, I guess is really the bigger question. Would Jess have ever proposed to Rory, or would Jess have just been in a relationship with her for a long time, or would Jess have ever gotten to the place where he like would have done that? Because I mean, there's no question Dean would have. We saw Logan do it, and I'm wondering if Jess would have gotten
Maybe
there.
he would have considered like a conversation. I think something earlier that was said.
Well,
that this kind of
let's
ties
hold off on the answer to that, because I don't even know if I completely said it right, but I think that you probably know the you know, my general sense of what I mean, you know, which is like, of these three guys, is Jess the one who is most likely to just let the relationship be and not like force it, and if they were together, and like maybe not ever get married, but just like be together. Sarah, you wanted to answer the question about that, and then we'll bounce back to the room on that question to let people marinate on it a little.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of it does kind of, it's funny, the two things I feel like tie in together, because you know, you said like, oh, a proposal is by definition a surprise, and I don't know that I actually agree with that. I think some people like surprise proposals, and you know, a lot of times you know it's coming or you don't know exactly when, but what really strikes me as like the telltale, like, oh, this was too early for you to propose, in this particular like Rory Logan situation, is he says to her, oh, so you never once thought about marrying me? As a question, first of all, at like, he's not sure. And then, but like, when you're at the point where you're going to propose to somebody, I feel like marriage is probably something that you've talked about with your partner at length, you know, multiple times, or it's just a very organic thing. Like, oh yeah, when we're married, you know, like your future together is something that you both are very clearly on the same page about. And so that really, when you propose, it's not that the proposal itself might be a surprise, or you might, I don't think a surprise is the right word. I feel like grand gesture maybe, but it's not a surprise in that like you knew that this person wanted to marry you. She seemed to be totally, like she said, out of the deepest blue. She was not expecting this. And I think that that's how you would propose to Rory, because you would have had that kind of a relationship where this is something that you guys talk about and both dream about and want and are on the same page about, so that yeah, she's had a chance to think about it, she's had a chance to dream about the future or plan the future or whatever, you know, because she's planning that future with you, because she knows that that's your intention, is for the both of you to be married, right? And so I think that whether or not, your question almost seems like, is Jess the marrying type? I think.
Yeah, is Jess the guy who's like probably not going to be all that crazy about it as an institution, and he doesn't really value it. He's just like, I'm about like, we're together and I'm in love with you, and that's that, and we're gonna do that. And that like, if they did, they might do it like in their like 40s or something like that, like just because like, why not, like let's just do it, you know, we may as well. And I guess I'm curious, would that be better for Rory? Like, is that like a little bit more Rory's speed?
Well, remember, John, when Jess asked Rory to run away with him, and he said, we can do what we want.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that really hit me when you asked, would Jess have, proposed marriage? And that I don't know, but you compare that with, Logan talking about what he wants. He's got this job, he's looked at the house, he's picked all that out. And here's, contrast that with Jess, who's like, we can do what we want.
That's true. Although you could argue that, like, the idea that you go off and be a Jack Kerouac, like, just, on the road doing whatever you want, is something he wants, and that he's not really recognizing that she actually wants this, like, life of education and university and all that, and that he's sort of selfishly thinking about a specific type of life that he wants her to fit into.
No, and that's fair. That's a very fair point. I mean, she did not want to leave Yale and run off and, as you say, be on the road.
I have to jump in on that.
That's very true.
I have to jump on this question.
Wait, hold on.
Why don't we have Lily jump? Don't worry, Tasha, we'll get to you. Lily?
Okay, awesome. Because I actually have to leave in a few minutes. The whole I think in a situation where I don't think Jess is a marrying type, but I feel like if it was like a conversation, he might be, and I think Rory's similar in that way. Because you see like couples and they're like, we've talked about getting married for like years now, and now we finally decided to get engaged. I feel like that would have been a situation where Logan would have gotten a better response from Rory if they did that. And I think that would have had a better outcome. But no, I don't think Jess is a marrying type of thing. He's like Lorelai, as we have compared him a lot. Loves the idea, but would rather just be with the person in the way, however they're going to be with the person, without having to label it with like a document or a ring or anything. So
Tasha.
Thank
Tasha.
you. Okay, so.
But just be mindful. We only have a little bit of
know.
time, and I just want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to speak.
I know. I'm very aware. So with that question, I'll keep it brief as I can. Me and Lee were actually talking about this because, well, it's one of our favorite subjects. I think honestly, Jess would have been the marrying type, but as Julie has said, about like the line, we can do what we want. Like, I don't think Logan really understands that Rory wants to do things on her terms. And yeah, like when you marry someone, you have to think about the other person as well. But you have to realize that people want to do what they're going to do, and they're going to do it how they want. And I think Jess is a perfect candidate for that, because he went off and didn't go to college, totally didn't do what you're supposed to. And by the end of his time on the show, he matured, he got his life together, he has a good job, and like he got to where he wanted to do. And he hinted at that in season 2 when they were driving. And I think, considering like how much that he loved her, and if it was in this situation, if it was Jess, I think he would have he understood that she wants to travel and she wants to put her career first, and he's super, super supportive. And we've always seen that with Jess, with getting her back to Yale in season 6, and then being very supportive of her picking to go to Yale in the first place. And he's just always been so supportive with her career. So he would have definitely either proposed and let her do her thing if she would have said yes, or he would have just been with her and just waited and let her and if like they wanted to get married, then yes, he would have been with her regardless of the situation, because he loves her that much. I can't say anymore because the revival hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And who knows if he's
Can I
gonna
say something? I was flashed.
go for it.
Hi, Coral.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Hey, friends. I have a question. Not to be rude, I just need to, like, my brain is having a big fart. So this is why I'm asking the question. Did Jess show up this episode?
no.
No.
No, they're
Nope.
talking about.
He didn't. Are you
the
being serious or are you?
No, I'm being for real. Because I was like, wait, hold on, wait a minute. Because I feel like we're having a fireside chat right now.
No, it's
I know,
a
but-
question of would
Talking
Jess
about
have
the
done the same
woman.
thing?
Well, we're talking
Okay.
about the marriage proposal in the episode, which has us talking about larger topics that include other characters from the series. I don't think it's that odd. Let's go to Lee.
Okay.
Let's jump to Lee, and then we'll do Hunter afterwards.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, if we're doing that, then I could totally see that both Marty and Dean would be the marrying type. Dean did it before, and Marty, we could throw it up, but I mean, hey, every man that has been like some type of, even though I don't count Marty as a courtship, I count him more as a friend, but he wanted to court that girl. It seems like they all would have been the marrying type. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean that was. I mean, that's how I led the question. I said that Dean is definitely the marrying type. Obviously, Logan is. The question was whether Jess was, so that we could sort of understand whether or not that is. For me, I wanted to understand if that is part of the appeal for those who are huge Team Jess fans, is that they understand that Jess might have actually given her the kind of longer relationship life that would have fit better with the way that Rory would wanted to roll out. But Julie made it really actually reminded me that he actually did kind of like ask her if she would change aspects of her life in order to do things the way he wanted. So in a weird way, that's not actually that much different.
Not that different. You're right. Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering, like how this all came to be. Okay. All right. Well, yeah.
Okay. Lee and then Hunter.
Hello. Yes. So I won't take long. I was just going to kind of expand on a few things a few other people had said. I think Jess would be the marrying type. I don't think it would be the most important thing in the world to him, in the same way that I don't think it's the most important thing in the world to Rory. She grew up with a mother who wasn't married. She saw that it wasn't a necessity in life, but something you kind of choose to do because you love someone. And I think Jess, it's less a question of is Jess the marrying type and more a question of how would they come to be married. I think Jess would allow a lot more breathing room. It would be a lot more organic of just, we're gonna be here together while we build our lives, and one day it will click, and we will have our lives, we will have built our lives together, and this will be a joint life. And then I think it would have just happened so much more organically. It wouldn't have been like Dean or Logan who were thinking, okay, well, we're in our early to mid-20s now, this is the time we get married, which it's the structure of it wouldn't be there. It would be all about the feeling of it, in my opinion.
Hunter, did you want to?
Yeah, I agree with what was just said. Because I was gonna say, I think for Jess, because I've thought about this a lot. I think for Jess, it probably he would have just been happy just to be with Rory, and the whole getting married and having the paper and everything. I don't think that would be important to him. He would just be happy just to be with her. And I feel like, I think it was Wendy just said, she would be like Lorelai. It wouldn't really be that big of a deal for either of them. And then one day, because it's kind of what happened with my husband and I, we were just kind of sitting around. And I was like, hey, you want to get married? And he was like, yeah, okay, let's do that next month. And then, so I feel like that's kind of how it would be for Jess and Rory if they were, ever together. They would just kind of be together for a while and then just okay, let's just get married then. It wouldn't be a big production.
Yeah, I agree, Hunter. The more you talk about this, the more I think, well, is Rory the marrying type? We're talking about all these boyfriends, but then Hunter's comment makes me think, well, is Rory the one? Would she want to get married? Would she want to get proposed to? Or is she just kind of see it as a piece of paper, or just kind of not a priority, you know? So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't really think about the boyfriend so much as her.
Yeah, because when I see this whole, like when he proposed to her, I kind of cringed because I never wanted to get married ever in my entire life. And then, you know, I've had people propose whatever. But then being with my husband, we were just so good. Now, like we just kind of had our life and we knew we were going to be together. And then one day I was just like, you know, let's just get married. So that's what we did. And it was just simple.
That makes sense too, because it's not as though like she exactly had a great example of marriage growing up. I mean, I know she has Richard and Emily's marriage to look up to now, but growing up she didn't. And then she saw what happened with the marriage between Lorelai and Chris. So
Yeah, I agree.
Do you want to talk about anything else?
I
Julia?
would like, yeah, I think that there's more to talk about in this episode. This episode is really good.
I agree.
Okay, good. It's really good. It's a really good penultimate episode. I tend to actually like penultimate episodes more than finales. Especially if they're really good. They're yeah. Like Hunter, I know you're a big Game of Thrones fan, and like the penultimates on those were just always better than the finale.
Absolutely. 100.
But yeah, I just think that like there's an art to the penultimate episode, and this one I just think just nailed it. I that's probably the most emotional that I've gotten in the entire series. Like I had a hard time talking there for a second.
Really?
Onto the breach did it to you?
Yeah, it did.
Wow.
I'm not embarrassed to say it. That's the reason why I'm like, I think I'm Team Logan, because even though I can totally like rationalize all of that stuff, and Rory absolutely, should be single. She should go off. She needs to explore who she is. Like I'm sad for that ending in a way that I was not sad for Jess and not sad for Dean.
But you predicted that ending, like
I know, but it still hurt. It still hurt.
But you said in the
always
episode
weep
that it
at that
wasn't
moment.
necessarily the ending that hurt; it was the graduation that hurt. So are you?
Yeah, and it was all of it. It was all of it. It was the graduation hurt for sure. I was not, and what's funny is that I remember specifically being kind of like, yeah, I get it was really nice, that Chilton graduation, but I didn't really get emotional because I don't really get happy. I'm not somebody who gets happy emotional. I get sad emotional. And I think that that's the reason why I got emotional for this one, because this one felt sad. This one didn't feel happy. This one felt unsure. This one felt like, what's going to happen next? I don't know where I'm going, It felt scary.
Wow.
Trying to find the
John, what did you think of the Luke and Lorelai scene?
The Luke and Lorelai scene, which one? The one where they were the one where they were
the one outside the diner when Lorelai went for her walk. And it was just filled with tons of subtext.
The one where they were at the garbage can, like where he was at the garbage can, and they were looking in the box, and it was basically everything that they were saying was just basically subtext for the situation that they got out of, like the reason why he didn't want to get married as quickly as she did, and all of that. I thought it was, it was an amazing scene, and I still feel like they're going to come back together again. I just feel it. I don't know why. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's that I want it. Maybe it's that I want them to be together.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you
I mean, they
agree
they do basically argue about it. Like they're basically both still digging their heels in the same in the dirt, right? Like because even though they're talking through subtext, they are still arguing about it, and both of them are sort of holding fast to their side of the story, right?
But the irony is they're holding fast to their side of the story in their situation, but they're arguing the other party's way. Like Lorelai is holding fast to her situation that they should have gotten married, but she's arguing Logan's argument. And Luke is holding fast that, you know, some people need time, but he's actually arguing on behalf of Rory. Like you would think that they would be doing the opposite.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I see that. I mostly just heard them talking about themselves though. So I mean, like it was very like very thinly veiled. Like so I wasn't even really thinking about Rory and Logan at that point. But I did hear two people that kind of weren't ready to completely like admit that they still are at odds there. We have one more episode.
Yep. It's okay. You're poor right now, so I'm not gonna push you to pay me.
Oh no.
Have more money.
Wow.
She'll do it in
You are either the best actor here and you are just completely throwing me off the scent, or I am just that, but like my intuition on this is that wrong, but I really do feel it. I feel like they've got another moment of like, even if it's just they sit down together and like, I don't know, but maybe somebody will interpret that as friendship. Like,
John, don't
I don't know,
think about
Mary,
it
if
as
you're going to let
charity.
them pay in installments, you got to charge interest.
Don't think about it as
Okay.
charity. Think about it as a
I'm-
charitable
Tough
gift.
love.
I'm happy with the guy paying me. Like, let's not even talk about interest right now.
yeah.
Can we talk about the grandparents?
Yeah.
All of the grandparents.
Yes, please.
So the song, what did you think?
Amazing. I mean, like, other than amazing, is there anything else to think? I mean, it was just great. It was just
I
a
love
fun moment.
the parallel of that to, like, I know they didn't sing the song for their first dance at their vow renewal, but like that song for the first dance, it was a big deal for that. And so I loved the parallel that there was a song, you know, to capture this moment as well.
So
about the grandparents?
The grandparents, I mean, other than it was just an awesome moment. Was there anything deeper there that I was supposed to see about that?
I don't know about deeper. I just found it a little out of character that of the things they would think of is that they would take a song and rewrite it. It seems, it almost makes it seem like the pudding, you know, like they're going out of their way to do something outside of their comfort zone, which I thought was really.
Okay, you thought it was incredible?
It worked, yeah. So. It's one.
Oh yeah, I mean, I loved it. I loved it. Maybe that's why I loved it. I mean, they definitely, you know, it's not like they picked a Britney Spears song. You know, they did pick like something that was sort of on brand for them. He is somebody who, you know, who values singing. He was in the Whip and Poofs, you know. Oh, Sabrina, that's where Huff and Puff comes from. It's because I was mixing Hufflepuff and Whip and Puff.
Oh my lord. Yeah, John was saying like Huff and Puff when he meant Hufflepuff, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, the other day I was like talking about the guilds of Harry Potter, and I was like, you know, like Ravenclaw, Huff and Puff, and she was like Hufflepuff.
Like
I was like Huff and Puff. That kind of sounds a little bit like a Harry Potter guild, doesn't it? She's like, no, it sounds a little bit like a stoner, you know, just like Huff and Puff.
My daughter used to say Hugglepuff instead of Hufflepuff. She used to say Hugglepuff. It's the cutest thing.
Oh, I love
That's
Hugglepuff.
very sweet.
We should have. There
should
that's
be
like
a Hugglepuff on it.
The Hugglepuffs. Hugglepuff is like, wouldn't that be like guilds in like a preschool of magic? Like a pre-K?
She was in junior high,
Oh,
or
okay.
probably maybe even elementary when she first said it.
But when we start Harry Potter, we should totally have a memento like that.
Called the Hugglepuff.
We will
Yeah.
make a Hugglepuff.
Love
or
it.
make that the password and make us happy.
But anyway, to get back to your what we were talking about, like, I mean, he was an a cappella singer, and so that makes sense to me. You know, it's Cole Porter, like that makes sense to me. You know, and it doesn't seem that crazy that she would join him. I mean, she's not that much of a stiff. Like she can let her hair down she can let her hair down every once in a while. I think that I think that you don't give her enough credit sometimes for having a little bit of spunk, and that doesn't seem like it's a huge amount of spunk. I still think it's incredible. I'm not sure that I would go so far as to say like this feels like something that they would never really do, mostly because he was a singer and because it's that type of song, and it seems like a goofy thing that grandparents would do to you know make up a new rendition of an old standard.
I think we see a lot of Emily's, not necessarily goofy, but spunky, as you put it, side when we see her separate from Lorelai. Because obviously a lot of the scenes we see her with are with Lorelai, and they're centered on the fact that Lorelai is there and they have a very tense relationship. But when we see her at like DAR events, like the scene where Lorelai met one of her friends, and her friend Emily's friend was talking about, oh, she's the Cobra, she's so spunky, she does all of, and you know, they're joking, and that's Emily outside of Lorelai. She is a bit funny, you know, she has a good sense of humor.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there was that scene, it's true, where Emily and her DAR friends were sitting around talking about the founding fathers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, within like a certain context, she can be kind of a little spunky.
Yeah, and you know, just yeah. I mean, especially to remember this was her event, this was her party, she was in charge. So maybe felt a little more freedom to, you know, to
I mean,
clean a little. I don't know.
I think it's out of spot, but I'm giving her the credit. I'm staying, like coming to say I think it was amazing that she did that.
Yeah.
So I actually am giving her more credit because in my view, this is out of her comfort zone, and she did it for her granddaughter.
I would say it's probably I would probably agree with you that it's more out of her comfort zone than Richard's for sure. And maybe it's perhaps way more out of her comfort zone than I'm admitting.
But what about the reactions to the proposal? Clearly they had two very different reactions.
Yeah, I mean, yes, she obviously wants it.
Richard didn't really seem like he wanted, because remember when Roy was living in the pool house, whatever, he didn't like that they were getting so serious so quickly, and he was like, they're still young. Roy still has things to do. I don't think he was very happy.
And he even said in this episode, she's only 22.
Yeah, his face, I realized during that like that first moment when he's not sure what she's gonna say, he looks devastated. And then Christopher, I posted this in the Facebook chat, Christopher looked like Ryan Gosling at the Oscars when La La Land like didn't actually win. He just was kind of like, ooh, that's embarrassing.
Whoa.
That's a great picture. By the way, I look at that picture from the Oscars all the time because everyone's face is just.
This was exactly like that.
I'm completely confused here. Sorry, guys. I might have to actually jump off.